What was your ultimate flex when you were a child? Beating people in foot races. Track and field day was flex season. As a fat kid it was flap season for me. I can blow air out of my tear ducts. Not so impressive at 34, but in middle school that was a real crowd pleaser. My cousin could do this, we even tested it underwater. We had to ask an adult how this worked, they didn't believe us. It even works underwater. I had an electric scooter, must have been flex and hard since some parents would harass me for riding it on school property. After school, I had one lady who was so jealous that she would follow me on my way home and scream, "You need the license for that thing." I checked with the police. Meanwhile I'm 13 years old riding a toy designed for kids. There was some girl at my college that had one of those. This was around 2007 when electric anything was still unique and special. Hearing a jury on your left while this girl blew by on what was effectively a silent motorcycle that was somehow allowed on pedestrian paths became a pretty common occurrence. My dad worked with Steve Irwin and we often had dinners etc. with his family. I'm a grown adult and I'm jealous. Bringing McDonald's to school during lunchtime. As for personal talents, absolutely nada. I was as talentless as they came. You're probably not as talentless as me, smiley face. Username checks out. I was the fastest kid in my class. Same, but I could blow little spit bubbles that would float out using my tongue. So I guess I had that going for a while. My gift too. Spit bubbles are op. Glad to meet you fellow. We're a rare breed. I had a Kenner Luke Skywalker figure with a yellow lightsaber that comes out of his forearm this year. I don't even know what that is and I'm impressed. I had a Charizard card. Kneel before your king. Wanna hear a real cringe? I traded my pulled rare Charizard for a starter deck Chansey, and I like Charizard way more than that pink thing. Don't really know WTF was going on in my head. A kid I know was duped into thinking a psychic energy was a Pokemon by some older kid and traded his Charizard for that energy. That kid was me and I still think about it. Sorry Corey. I got a holographic Blastoise in my first pack of Pokemon cards. My very first pack had a foil Poliwrath smiley face. We used to own a bakery so I always had the best bread, buns, etc. during lunch. An amp, #X200B, downside, I got very fat during school. I had all these fake mobile phones they used for displays in stores. I used to sell them this year. First to discover Minecraft in my school and spreaded the word around. Me too, and after a while somebody was saying he began playing it. Me and my friends would compare how many cuts and bruises we had on our legs. I was always the winner. I have atopic dermatitis. Well, that sucks. I had parents with a healthy relationship, and Clarence's parents have a real good marriage. I guess he doesn't wanna battle. I can touch my nose with my tongue. Men, your wives, lock up your daughters and horses. Being able to change the intertubes on a popped bicycle tire. I can touch my nose with my tongue and I can pop my jaw. My dad has stated that whenever he hears me pop my jaw, he's scared that my jaw is just going to unhinge like a snake. The most powerful super soaker to ever hit the market. Idiot person threw it in the trash as they thought it was just old. I miss it. They were actually made well too. We had one for many years and it worked great. Scar Lion King Pog Slammer. Stop it. I can only get so erect. Having the longest name in a preschool class. Suck it, Kevins. When Tamagotchis had a second wave of popularity around 2004, you'd keep it on a lanyard and wear it around your neck. The more Tamagotchis you had on the lanyard, the cooler you were. Took away my parents' computer privileges when they tried to take mine. Used Dad's password. Backed up his data. Reinstalled Windows. Made myself administrator. Made them accounts with password protection. The next 4 hours were me refusing to give up the new passwords until I was given my own computer. My 11-year-old brain was just on fire that day. Long story short, my mom was fuming. Every threat under the sun, screaming, etc., etc. Which was fine, I just mentioned how easy it would be to delete that recipes folder she kept on the desktop if she didn't, and I quote, calm down and talk to me more maturely. My dad, however, after 2 hours of messing around with the PC was just impressed. Couldn't believe his 11-year-old pulled a power move on Hi Monsieur. Eventually he caved, and spent 3 more hours attempting to communicate with the demonic beast that is my mother until she agreed to my terms. I got to keep an old computer in my room, on the grounds I put everything back exactly how I'd found it, and that my friends is how I learned about leverage. Impressive. Giant earth-shattering belches at will. Great to do in the echo chamber gym during PE in 6th grade. Partially popping my arm out of the shoulder socket. Certain unnatural-looking hand-finger contortions freaked people out. It was awesome. I liked to twist my thumb behind my index finger's knuckle and hold it there. In elementary school I could also bend my knees pretty far to the point where I could wrap my foot around my waist and hold it there. I can't do that second one anymore, but I still have the thumb trick. I could stand at the top of a steep grassy hill and dive into a front roll and do multiple front rolls all the way down to the bottom, with no kind of gymnastic or other sport training. I'm lucky I didn't break my neck. I would literally fling myself down these hills. But other kids were always super impressed because none of them could do it. I could do the handstand, cable, 152 count or whatever it was Crayola box, the big-ass one that looked like a treasure chest, my Bakugan collection. I used to brag that I knew Esteban from Sweet Life of Zack and Cody's full name until one day one of the popular kids came up to me out of the blue and asked me to say it, panicked and messed up, and he told the entire class one was a fraudster anyway. That's what keeps me up at night. I was on the front page of the newspaper with my head stuck through a hole in the bottom of a cardboard box that was filled with jelly beans, blowing donut-shaped bubbles underwater, full-on rings, slams every single Calvin and Hobbes book on the table come at me. I could build a PC, but nobody cared. Loudly crying face, loudly crying face, loudly crying face. I was able to bend back my index fingers to the point where they would touch the top of my hand. Showed it to about everyone I met. I still do that. I even grossed out the med student who was shadowing my doctor last week. Do the longest skid on my bike at the end of a dead-end street. The trick is to lean forward and take some weight off the back tire, but I didn't share that with anyone. I wanted to win every time and I did. Smoking a candy cigarette when I was 10 or 11 behind a convenience store, looking angrily at a younger kid and yelling with my newfound machismo, "What are you looking at? I'm still in high school and just impressed a bunch of people by eating 3 lasagnas, like entire trays. That is impressive. 7 years in a foster home. You win. We all agree on that." I used to be able to move one eye to the side while leaving the other facing forward. Sadly I can't do it anymore. My ability to mimic other people, my doodling prowess, and my Street Shark toys. Puberty killed my mimicking ability though, and my mom donated my Street Sharks. At least I'm still decent at doodling. Lol. I could do multiplication facts really fast. I won the multiplication bee. I'd like to thank my mom for all of the hours she spent reviewing flashcards with me to make me the nerdiest 3rd grader of all time. Being able to spell supercalifragilisticexpialidocious when I was 6 years old. Light up sketches. First kid in my primary school to read Harry Potter, and I can do those really loud shepherd-type whistles where you put your fingers in your mouth. I had a PSP a month or so before it was available in my country. 64 Crayola crayon box. I couldn't take any pills without using water every single time. I used to do that all the time, but at a certain point I realized that sometimes I would get an uncomfortable feeling in my chest. That felt like the pill was stuck there. After that I started drinking while taking a pill so I wouldn't get that feeling anymore. Dad worked at cable company, so not only did we have all channels, but we got 1/2 off pay-per-view. I always had the monthly wrestling events, doing front flips on the trampoline. Not 1, not 2, but 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons. Hardcore club member at science camp. You had to eat an apple core to join. Owned a Blue Eyes White Dragon card, the one and only in the school. Burping really loud and disgustingly. I was a little shy girl in pretty dresses, so I always got a kick out of the adults' shocked faces. I could beat the Podrus level in LEGO Star Wars. I used to be able to beat Metroid Finesse when I was 9 years old. Also, to the Technodrome in the original TMNT Finesse. I Super Mario Velcro sneakers in 2nd grade. It's tough to have peaked so young. I was the only person in my school who could beat through the fire and the flames on expert in 6th grade, and I felt like such a boss at the time. I could put my legs behind my head. If I really try now I can still do it, but I never want to really try. Irish dancing. I got to the 2nd highest level possible before the injuries became too much. A yo-yo that could sleep. Correcting the teacher. I was the first guy in my year to have an iPod mini. I procrastinated on all my HW and still got good grades. I mean, we were given over a week to write an essay and I wrote it in the last 5 hours before it was due. I got an A.